Hello and welcome to today's episode of Drawn to the Word Artist Sketchbook, and we're looking at the story of Palm Sunday. A familiar story for many of you, and here we see Jesus riding into the city of Jerusalem on a donkey. And as he rode in, we hear in that story there were crowds of people who were celebrating, they were welcoming Jesus in. They were laying down their cloaks, their coats on the road, they were waving palm branches. I have several pictures to show you today, some different drawings from my sketchbook. Waving palm branches to welcome Jesus in, and he rode in the midst of them. Do you know what it is that they were shouting? Do you remember that from the story? They were shouting, "Hosanna to the Son of David, and blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." And the word Hosanna is a word that means save or save us now. But the people, I don't think the people knew what they were shouting when they were shouting out to Jesus to come and save us. They had no idea that in just a few days Jesus would be dead, but that his death would be the way in which he would save these people. They were hoping that he would save them in a different way by overthrowing the powers of the government that were hard on the people at that time. But that is not what Jesus had in mind. And so here I have an archway, and let's add an image here perhaps of Jesus coming into the city. And when someone in Jesus' day rode on a donkey, came in on a donkey, that was a sign of peace. Of peace. If Jesus would have come riding in on a horse, that would have sent another message. The message there would have been that Jesus was possibly coming for war. But we miss this part of the story sometimes. Jesus, by everything he did, was showing that he was coming in a peaceful way. But still, the people didn't want anything to do with him. So here, let's put a shadow to make the light from up above seem much brighter. And I'm going to include this light here that looks like it's in the shape of a cross. Maybe it will be a symbol of what's to come later in the week. So this would have been on Sunday of that week. And by that Friday, Jesus would be crucified on a cross. But something else happens just as he comes into Jerusalem. And when he gets in and he sees the temple, he enters into that temple, and he doesn't like what he sees there. First, let me put a bunch of palm branches and people. There were crowds of people gathered around, people laying their robes down in front and branches on the ground. We'll just make some suggestions of many people here, and you kind of get the idea from that. A few more shadows. But as Jesus came into the temple, then he saw that there were people buying and selling things mostly to get other people who came to Jerusalem who were going to worship God, to get them to buy pigeons or doves, things to sacrifice to God. And Jesus saw that these people were taking advantage of other people and really stealing their money and ripping them off. And Jesus became very angry at this. And what he did was he flipped over the tables that they were using. Let's draw a table here that's turned over. He flipped over the tables that they were using, and it spilled all of their money off of it, the money changers. Because Jesus knew that what they were doing, there's a table on its side, was not helping out other people, was not helping the poor people, but was really stealing their money. And so here we'll put money that's fallen down, maybe a basket that's turned upside down, other containers that are now empty, money spilled out. And this made the people angry. Can you imagine if you were selling things there and somebody came in and just flipped your table over and was angry about it? But Jesus said, "You have made my Father's house," this temple, "a den of robbers, and not a place or a house of prayer." And Jesus didn't want that to be what the church was for. Another basket here. It's now empty. Maybe a box of some kind. And the chairs of the people who were selling doves were also tipped over, it says. And here's a chair. And the doves were used to sacrifice or to be killed, because the people thought, or at least they taught, maybe just to make money, that God wanted a sacrifice of some kind, and so then in order to make a sacrifice they had to buy these animals. They couldn't transport a dove for many miles across the desert. It would probably die before they got there. So here are doves flying away. And this is part of the Palm Sunday story. So Jesus comes in, but then this happens, and it's a sign of what's to come, that everyone, just about everyone, is going to turn against him. But Jesus will do this in order to save the people, save the world, but more specifically, to save you.